going to be talking about a couple of things that happen to have happened around the same time. First of all, there's a very interesting interview between Laurence Fox and a completely unhinged academic whose field, by the way, is history. And she's on GB News, and they were talking about the Jeremy Clarkson, joke about Meghan Markle with reference to the Game of Thrones. And then I'm going to slide on over to a controversy brewing when the BBC announced it was going to start broadcasting a podcast by Shamima Begum, all the way from Syria. So before I get on with that, I'll tell you I'm Grannyopterix. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I let you know of new uploads on Twitter, Gab and Parler. All the links for those are in the description. Please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe. If you're subscribed to me on YouTube, remember sometimes the subscriptions drop, so check it again. You can help me not only by sharing and liking particularly, but also helping me financially. Buy me a coffee, and there are a couple of other links below for donations. Thank you very much. Now to the Clarkson storm in a teacup. You see, Clarkson wrote an article giving vent to his fury about the way Meghan Markle is behaving. And what he did was he adapted a scene from Game of Thrones, quite a well-known scene, and he sort of moulded it around Meghan Markle. Oh, God, I don't even want to remember her name. And as if we didn't have enough bad weather around here, this caused an instant blizzard of protest. Scotland Yard got involved. They got some complaints from the public. I wouldn't dream of hazarding a guess about what sort of people might have been making those complaints to the police. But, well, you know what? I wouldn't be at all surprised if the people who were ringing into the complaints desk were the very people, or the very same people, who would be out trying to defund the police at the next demo. However, enough of my speculation. Now, a couple of weeks ago now, a white woman and a close friend of the royal family found herself at the centre of a whirlwind of accusations of racism because she was doing her job. She was in Buckingham Palace at a reception for, apparently leaders and movers and shakers for various charities. And her job, it seems, was trying to find out about the people who were there so they could be introduced to the Queen Consort. But asking those questions of a woman who had, she was there under an assumed name, let's put it that way, got her accusations of racism. However, if you want to see a racist white woman now, then be prepared. Here's one getting hot under the collar on Laurence Fox's show. Her name is Tessa Dunlop, and she starts off seeming quite reasonable. Let's have a look at what she says.
Tessa, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
I get the feeling that you're going to interrogate me here.
No, I was just disappointed with a tweet that I felt rather clumsily popped out, suggesting that on the one hand, yes, Jeremy Clarkson's comments were misogynist and rather unpleasant, but on the other hand, and here you abused history.
OK, so it sounds, as I said, quite reasonable. She's just disappointed. She had a lot of trouble hanging on to that facade, though, and it slipped quite quickly. And it didn't take her very long to get a little worked up. But as is the usual case with people with this sort of an agenda, she started small, if slightly threatening. Here's the next clip.
It's a nonsense to suggest we have to let everyone spew out filth and poison left, right and centre, especially men with disproportionately large platforms. And let me tell you, dear Loza, there's an awful lot of you.
Right, so, dear logger. No, she is meant to be giving her point of view, and she is already needling the interviewer. In my opinion, not the best strategy. Miss Dunlop is also described as a writer and broadcaster. I suppose she's a Dr. Dunlop, actually. Well, I can believe she's a broadcaster. She's the sort of broadcaster who wouldn't even need to be out on the media to be heard from here to Scotland. Anyway, here's the next clip.
What I actually said was, look, and you're looking at someone who really doesn't like Meghan Markle and doesn't like that spoiled.
Oh no, let's not go back to. I can't hear another thin-skinned, slightly ageing white man be demeaning about Meghan Markle.
Did you hear that? White man? Slightly aging white man? Hang on a minute. Let's have a look at this woman's face again. Yeah, I thought so. I have to tell you that when I first saw that video, I was watching it with my mouth open. Quite literally, my jaw was dropping. Let's have a look at the next. Let's have a look at the next bit.
And Jeremy Clarkson, the way he wrote that article, he was very clever. He knows you can't stir up hatred against Meghan Markle on the basis of her race. But she was posited throughout that article very much on the basis of her femininity. She had, to use Donald Trump's expression, whipped her husband, Harold Markle, into his subservient position. She'd basically brainwashed him, but he hated her more than he compared her to two other women, to Nicola Sturgeon and to the murderer, Rose West.
So she's accusing him of stirring up hatred on the basis of race, but being clever about it. She says he knew he couldn't attack her on her race, so he attacked her femininity and then compared her to two other women. I might say the two other women, one is a mass murderer and the other is an unpopular politician. I mean, however much Sturgeon is unpopular, she is not even comparable to Rose West. So the whole thing is completely out of proportion here. So out of proportion, it's obviously a joke, but she had to get at her. I mean, well, what is Clarkson supposed to compare Meghan Markle to? He compared her to two other women, two women who are unpopular. But do you notice also how she's already convinced herself that what Clarkson really wanted to do was get at her race? She's accusing him of racism. She's accusing him of racism, but without accusing him of racism. How very sly that is. And dishonest too, because it's quite obvious that wasn't the thing. He was annoyed about Markle for lying, for manipulation, for all those things. All right, next bit.
That is hatred towards women, and I don't think that's acceptable.
Look, I agree with you.
Yes, so let's change the law.
No,
yes.
No, that's why I don't agree with you.
Why not change the law?
Because I don't think it's illegal to hate people.
She wants the law to be changed. Can you imagine what the legal system would be like if she were in control of it? But, you know, what really upsets me, well, the whole thing upset me, but what really worries me is she is a writer and broadcaster, which means she goes to, like, BBC cocktail parties and probably as an academic she's consulted by various social groups of various sorts. It means she's in with the in crowd. She is an influencer. This person. All right, this is the next bit.
Oh, I wouldn't even say that. But generally, you like to poke with a stick. You go as far as you can. You push the right-wing envelope. And as I've explained, you men, Nigel Farage, Dan Wootton, have disproportionately large platforms.
Disproportionately large platforms. Platforms. Well, you know, I have been around for quite a while. You know, I've never heard it called that before. Anyway, let's press on.
You get little me's on, a doctor incidentally, but nonetheless just a little woman, on, and you bear bait us for clicks. Clickety-click, clickety-click. And actually, Jeremy Clarkson will be in...
You know, she doesn't need any bear baiting. She doesn't need any poking with a stick. It doesn't look like she needs any triggering at all. Frankly, it looks to me like she's doing this all by herself. It's just coming from inside her head. It's terrifying. Okay, let's get on to the next bit.
Well, exactly. And I'm saying that is not acceptable. And the way to stop it is to change the law.
Stop with the law changing.
Knock little men off their platforms like you.
Little men? I thought I was a big man.
Well,
a bear, you said I was.
Because you have a big platform, darling.
All right, darling.
Will I scuttle out of your cave now and leave you in your cave?
It's not a cave. You're more than welcome to stay.
I'm been quite angry. You make me angry, Laura.
Well, I'm very sorry. I've literally said nothing.
You didn't have to. Just by sitting...
Okay, so look. First of all, she says change the law. Then she says she called him a caveman in his cave, and then she says he makes her angry. And he didn't do anything. He really didn't do anything. The anger is boiling up inside her, and little men. She hates men. Why is such a woman? This is somebody who, well, I don't know. I was going to say she shouldn't be given a platform, but no, she should be. Everybody should be able to see what's the evil in there. That anger is actually at a level of evil. It looks like she wants to do away with all men or anybody who defends men. It's all going on inside, and this hatred is going on inside her head. How does she walk around? How does she interact with anybody, male or female, with that level of anger fuming inside her? Anyway, you might be very relieved to know that the Sun newspaper, which published, I don't think I mentioned this, did I? Jeremy Clarkson published this article in the Sun newspaper. I don't think I said that before. Anyway, they took the article down, and Mr. Clarkson himself said something like, oops, I probably overstated my case there or something, and he's retired, suitably chastened. And everyone's breathing a sigh of relief that this misogynistic monster has been decisively brought to heel. So we should be all dancing in the streets, shouldn't we? After all, we certainly don't want to call the Duchess of Sussex a shame on the British people, a shame on her own family, or indeed a shame on the whole human race. No, of course we don't want to hear that, do we? Meanwhile, there's another storm brewing that will certainly require an apology and a withdrawal and an admission that maybe they made the wrong call. And I'm referring, of course, to the storm of protest about the BBC giving Shamima Begum a platform from which to broadcast her side of the story and explain to people why she is not a monster. Now, let's just remember, a lady at Buckingham Palace whose job was to meet and greet and ask the wrong person a question that the wrong person couldn't answer properly, and the sky fell in on her, but she hasn't been given a platform by the BBC because she's the sort of person who doesn't do that sort of thing. And here we have another person whose job it was to facilitate a terrorist group that spent its time pillaging and enslaving across the Levant. And she was lending them support. And she gets a voice from the BBC saying she isn't a monster. Well, I expect there to be a storm of protest over that. I do. I'm just listening for the storm now. No, I can't hear anything. How odd. Well, one's bound to come sooner or later. I'll wait a little bit, till next time.
Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share, share, share.